Hello everyone, I'm Gabriela Casineanu, the founder of Introverts Academy. I'm a professional coach and an award-winning author. And today with me I have Fifi Mason. Welcome to my live show, Fifi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here because I've got a comment and I'll share the comment later on. People are kind of intrigued about the topics that we have today. How introverts can be quietly influential. So we'll talk more about that, but let me present you briefly, and if you want, feel free to add more elements to this presentation. So Fifi Mason is a personal brand coach. She works with quiet introverts and shy entrepreneurs, inspiring them to get visible on their own terms. Fifi is also the organizer of the Quietly Influential Summit that is coming up in May. She'll talk more about that. This is an annual event she's organizing in collaboration with Matthew Pollard. I'm pass it to you if you want to add more to this introduction.
Yeah, of course. Yes. So as you said, I am Fifi Mason. I'm a personal brand coach, helping introverts and shy entrepreneurs. And I'm also the founder of the Quietly Influential Summit, which is actually next Monday. It kicks off. It's not far away now, so a couple of days to go. But yeah, I'm excited for this conversation. We're talking about a lot of things to do with introvert entrepreneurs and also being shy if you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, we even have a question about that. I want to invite people who are watching us live to comment. We can see your comments live and we will try to answer them before we end this interview. So let me show that comment. Someone said how contradictory this topic is with his introverted mindset. So what do you say about that? Is it really contradictory to be an influential introvert?
I wouldn't say it's contradictory. I think definitely it depends on your definition of introversion. And and most people nowadays have the definition, and you're probably the same, that an introvert is someone who has to balance their energy, their social energy, their recharge from being alone, spending time alone. It doesn't really impact how we present ourselves, how we put ourselves out there to a degree. It's all about balancing that energy. And I also find that a lot of introverts are deep thinkers and they need time to process their thoughts. So if you've got that definition of an introvert, there's no reason why we can't be quiet influencers, quietly influential in some way, because it's just our power. It's not about being shy, and we are going to discuss this as well. I think it's important to understand that just because you're an introvert doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to put yourself out there and speak out.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. I'm using more the term managing our energy to achieve whatever we put our mind to.
Yes.
Because it's not about, yes, we need time to think, we need time to recharge, but that is how we kind of recharge our energy to do whatever we want to do. So instead of putting focus on introverts are quiet, they need to recharge their energy, they need to be by themselves, put your energy into what do I really want? What impact do I want to make in the world? What I'm really passionate about? And when you're doing that, you get some extra energy from connecting with what's important to you. And that's how you manage your energy. And you will include those breaks to recharge and to be quiet and reflect on whatever you want to do. But it's not what defines you, how you function. That's my perspective on this.
Topic. Yeah, definitely. It's you hit the nail on the head there. It's about the impact and what you're actually going to achieve in the world and the impact you're going to make in the world. And just because you are someone who might be more quiet and reserved and need that time alone a lot more than an extrovert who probably thrives on the kind of the kind of things that it takes to put yourself out there constantly and be making connections. Like, extroverts thrive on that, and introverts find it difficult. But there's no reason we can't do it, and we become energized from a different place. We might start to lose some of that mental energy or physical energy as we go through our days working with people, or however it's going to manifest for you in your business. We might lose some of that energy, but we do have the energy of our purpose and our passion that comes into play. And that is something that I think is really important, and it's something that I teach my clients, that they need to figure out what their passion and purpose is, and make sure it's a key component of their business, or actually have a mission, a purpose that is bigger than themselves, that they are striving towards, which gives you the energy to put yourself out there.
Yeah, and on top of them, we have our introvert strengths. We are complementary to extrovert strengths. So while extroverts are using their strengths to be influential, to do whatever they want to do, we can use our strengths to move forward, to become influential if that's what we want to. And being influential is not only related to being loud. You, for example, you're the founder and organizer of the Quietly Influential Summit. If you want to say a few words about it, just before that, having a summit like this, does it help you to become more influential?
Definitely. I think we have to find what works for us. And for me, one thing that really worked, it has been creating this virtual summit that allows a lot of people to come together to share their knowledge, and then for others to come and learn. And yes, creating something this big, like a full 5-day virtual summit, is quite a big undertaking. I find it really, really difficult, but you did say to focus on our introvert strengths, and I think that's how I have managed to really make this into a great event. So I lean into my strengths of organization and preparation and planning, and I wouldn't say this is a common strength for all introverts, but I think because we have the way that we process things and need to have time to think about things, we can lean into that quite a lot. We can lean into that strength and put it into being more organized. And that has been a critical thing in making sure that a virtual summit like this is a success. But also, doing a virtual summit is an amazing way to build influence. It helps me to get in front of lots of different people and make some amazing contacts in my space as well.
So it's also a networking tool for you. It's also a way to get these people together to talk about the topics that you're passionate about, to help even your clients. Not only you becoming visible, you help them, and in return, they will help you. So I found that introverts are very good at collaboration. Introverts are very good at strategic thinking, at project management. So you're using your strengths to build something like a summit, which is a huge project. So you're focusing on the outcomes that you want to have with this project, and then the energy comes and you figure out the elements to organize this summit. So there are a lot of elements, a lot of strengths of introverts that you're using while you are preparing this summit and organizing it. I really love the introverts are also very perfectionist, and they want everything to be perfect. And I love, as someone who is invited as a speaker to your summit, and thank you for the invitation, I love how you organized it. You send us a lot of information that you can use. You prepared a quiz for people who want to attend to figure out which topics are more interesting for them so they don't feel overwhelmed. So you kind of guide them step by step. So you're using your introvert strengths. You care about the people. You care about those who will participate as a summit, visitors, viewers, and speakers. And we can see that care, that environment, supportive environments that you create, and we're part of it. And it's such a learning experience just to be associated with the summit, either someone who will watch the summit, or like me, someone who is a speaker. So thank you so much for the experience. It's a learning experience for us.
Oh, that's great. And there is that kind of skill or the strength of observation coming into play, I suppose. And I think that's a really core one for a lot of introverts, that we tend to watch and observe how other people do things, and then we will take elements of those things and bring them together. And I've attended a lot of different summits. I've been learning from some amazing people in the space, and I've really got to this point where I feel like the summit is I have taken in a lot of what has worked and made it into this amazing thing that is growing year on year. I mean, this is the third year of the summit now, and it's bigger and better than ever. And I feel like year on year it's going to get even better, and we're going to have more of those things like the quiz and little things to do with the speakers as well. And this is something that I emailed about today, was I want to bring the speakers together and get them to get to know each other as well. And that's something that I learned from last year's summit. So as the years go on and I observe things and I see things and people suggest things, I can improve it and make it better.
And thanks for helping us connect with each other. Let's talk about collaboration, because it's one of the strengths of the introverts. We love to collaborate. Extroverts like more confrontation and competition. So tell us a little bit more about collaboration. I noticed that you're collaborating with Matthew Pollard in organizing this summit. So how the skill of collaboration is helping you?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, collaboration. I think a lot of people are very hesitant to work with people within their same niche, for the fear that you're going to end up taking clients from each other and that kind of thing. And it's funny how in the business world there is still, and I see it a lot, that there's more of this mentality of competition rather than collaboration. And I really, in the last year or so, in fact, last year my word of the year was collaboration. So I have definitely achieved that. And working with Matthew is one of those things. So he is an introvert influencer. He's a thought leader in the introvert space. He is doing some great things, and it really became it just made sense for us to kind of come together and really do some things together, because we have this bigger mission. We have this bigger idea, and it's not just about getting a client. It's about making a difference and making an impact. And by coming together and collaborating together, we can do that. We can do it on a bigger scale. We don't have to be away or not in our little corner trying to make a little dent, when we can bring people together. And that's really been the ethos of our relationship. So it was in the first summit. I got him on as a speaker, and we stayed in touch. Matthew is really great at connecting people and being a connector. And we then decided to collaborate on last year's virtual summit. So that was the first time we did a collaboration together, and it went really well. So it made sense to continue with that relationship. But also we have collaborated on our new project, which is called Introvert U. And this is a learning hub and community helping introverts thrive in all areas of their lives. It's going to be it's going to have lots of different departments, but we're starting with the entrepreneur department, and we're going to have lots of trainings in there and a community, and we want to bring together more introvert experts. We want more introverts who are not actually known as introverts to reveal their secrets, and to do that on this platform and help more introverts to succeed in life, basically. So it really makes sense to look at those in your niche as someone you can work alongside with. Maybe you can create something bigger and better than you could ever achieve on your own by teaming up and working together.
Yeah, I love your point about thinking about the bigger objective, and we're both part of that objective. And in the case of the summit, all 25 plus speakers are part of the same bigger purpose to help introverts and help the world through the introvert power. So it's a real great example of how the summit brings this concept of collaboration together. And even the fact that I'm part of this summit, it's coming from a collaboration with you and Matthew, and I reach out to you because at one point I connected with other introverts, and everyone was like, do you know about the summit that Fifi is organizing, about Matthew? So when you start reaching out to people and you come from the perspective, hey, what we can do together to reach out the bigger goals that we both have, it's a totally different environment, and you can help each other work on your own area, but toward the common goal. I really love what you're saying. So if you're interested, the summit website, it's quietlyinfluential.com. It's between May 2 and May 6. There are different topics each day, and around 5-6 speakers, I guess, each day. And I highly encourage you to check out the website and see what are the topics, because we had a comment about, someone said, let me put the comment here, what an introvert can do if he has a business that involves quite a lot of constantly interact with people and on daily basis. And from what I noticed from the agenda, you already have speakers talking about this.
Yes.
Highly invite you to go and check out the quietlyinfluentialsummit.com website. There are free tickets. It's free for the people who want to watch the website. So there are a lot of things coming up for you in this summit. That's why we're talking so much about it. If you want to gather the insights from Matthew and Fifi, tune in on May 6th. And also my presentation is on May 6th as well. Check out the agenda on the website. You'll get more information about that summit and all the goodies that you can get out of that. Let's talk about what are your lessons learned and tips for introverts who want to take on a big project.
Okay, yes. Well, interestingly, first of all, I had to overcome some of the mindset issues around this project. I think when there's something quite big, when you're going to put together something like a virtual summit, or potentially even pulling together kind of like a program or a package of some kind that involves more people, like it could be a collaboration of some kind. So anything that could be quite a big project, you need to really consider what has stopped you so far. If it's something like me, so when I first decided to do the virtual summit, I'd put it off for about a year. Actually, I was terrified of the idea of it because it seemed so big. It seemed like there was a lot of little things to do, and also having to interview lots of people. I felt like it was very overwhelming just to think about it, never mind do it. And so I needed to face that. I needed to figure out what was really holding me back there and work out what I needed to do in order to move forwards.
And what helped you to
What
overcome?
helps me? Yeah,
It's
what
really
helped?
the comment that we've got.
What helped me with that was really, well, I wrote down all of the things that were stopping me, and the major thing that I couldn't really figure out. So there was lots of things. So it was more like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And you can come up with the answers eventually. But there was one thing that was really holding me back, and that was interviewing lots of people. And I was thinking, 25 people, I'm going to have to interview them. I've got 90 days, because I was putting myself under pressure to be like, if I'm going to start this, I need to get it done in this time frame, get it done, do it. So that's one thing I probably would recommend. Don't rush into it, and don't feel like you have to have the pressure. But also, yeah, write down all of the things. And then the one thing that was holding me back, I had to find a way through that. And I was also feeling very intimidated, going to have to speak to all of these speakers, all these experts in their area. I felt like I was probably going to make a fool of myself, all of these things. I had to overcome those things. I had to think, okay, well, what's the logical step here? And using some of the reframing techniques that I now use with my clients, like asking the question, what is the worst that can happen? What is the best that can happen? And what is the most likely to happen? And really just working through it mentally. So that was the first stage. And then I did have to really knuckle down on the organizational side of it, and get to a point where I had all of the tasks, everything written down. And people who know me well will say that I'm really, really good at organizing. I don't think I'm that good. I just make sure that it's probably that perfectionist of me coming in. I make sure I've got everything covered. I have to do that. So I just made sure that I had all of it written down, all of the steps, step by step, so I can work through them. And now I use that again and again and again, so I don't have to repeat myself, which is great. And the other thing, when it comes to something like a virtual summit, which takes a lot of energy, is to make sure you spread things out enough so you've got time to do them, but also to give yourself time afterwards. So like the week after, I'm gonna have like pretty much a clear diary. I'm gonna have a week off, at least a week or so after, so that I can recharge and then come back fresh and be ready to serve all of the people that have come into my sphere in that time frame from the summit. So lots of things to consider, but also allowing yourself the time to re-energize.
And I have a question about what you just said about interviewing other people. Did you find it becomes a little bit easier in time, more you do it, more? So did you find that it's kind of a growth process when you start putting yourself in that situation over and over?
Definitely. I think I am still intimidated by some of the big names. If I'm speaking to someone that I really, really look up to, and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to say something silly? But I have processes I work through, and being prepared, making sure I've got notes every time I have an interview. And you're probably the same if you're doing these quite often. It's making sure you've got questions, everyone's aware what's going to happen. And also I use a lot of tools to help me, and I try to get the speakers to give me the information rather than me having to come up with it all. As you know, I send you a link to put in your information, and then you share like some questions, and that really helps. That helps me so that I can then prepare really well before an interview. And just having space before, at least 10 to 15 minutes before I go on an interview, where I might meditate, I might just do some breathing. And then allowing myself time so that I don't have too many in a day. I think there was one day that I had to do 3 in a day, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that again because it's quite a lot.
I totally agree.
It takes a lot of thought process, a lot of time to kind of I think it's harder to interview someone. I honestly do. Because it's a new topic, it's something you're not familiar with. And if you're not familiar with it, then you have to really listen and think. And so limiting the amount that I do in a day is crucial. As much as I can. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, but as much as you can, if you do that, then it does get easier, and also allowing yourself time after to relax again.
Do you find that do you consider the Quietly Influential Summit only for introverted entrepreneurs?
Interestingly, I actually would say it could be relevant to anybody. I'm not specifically the outgoing extrovert who feels confident and sorted out. I think they might pick up a few things, but I believe that for most attending, who the ones that will get most out of it from attending would be the more quieter, more reserved personalities, those that don't have tons of energy all the time. They're not like exuberant all of the time. I think that it's perfect for those people. But if you feel like there is a speaker that you want to learn from, then you should come, and it's free. So there's no reason not to.
My questions came from the idea that some introverts might say, "Oh, I'm not an introvert. I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't have a business. Why should I attend this business?" But from what I looked at the agenda, and I know even for my topic, people are talking about things that are relevant to introverts in general, maybe something more specific to introverted entrepreneurs. But there is a lot of value in those presentations for all the introverts, not only for the entrepreneurs.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think if you're wanting to build a personal brand for any reason, it doesn't have to be that you're a business owner. It could be that you're an expert in your niche. It could be that you work in a business, but you want to become known for something specifically. And that's, like if that's you, if that sounds like you, then it's going to be perfect for you, because it's definitely aimed at entrepreneurs and experts, and it's to help you figure out your personal brand and how to put yourself out there.
I have someone who answered us a question, if you want to answer it. She said she's not only an introvert, she's also shy. What we can do, shy introverts, to be less afraid or uncomfortable talking in public? I mean, working meetings or similar. I start forgetting the words of my mind go blank. Is there any exercise or technique? I know it happened a lot to me in the past, and I was able to overcome that, but I want to get your opinion first.
I can totally relate to this, and I don't think it's specifically a shy trait either. I think it comes, if it's coming from anxiety and you're not able to talk because you feel anxious, then there are ways to work through that. And I was painfully shy when I was at school, when I was in secondary school. So much so that I couldn't even walk down the street without blushing like a tomato. Like I couldn't walk past someone without going bright red, feeling anxious, socially anxious, feeling uncomfortable. And there was a period where it was really, really affecting my life. But the thing with shyness and anything to do with anxiety in those respects, they are things that you can work past. And the best way to work past those things is to slowly step out of your comfort zone, slowly push yourself to try more, and also prepare. Now, for an introvert or a shy introvert, preparation is really, really important. I think if you can go into a meeting with something prepared, or if you're going to be on a call with someone and you're not sure how it's going to go and you're feeling anxious about it, make sure you give yourself the time to write down questions that you want to ask, write down things that you want to bring up, so that you can just go in there feeling like, I've already thought about this. I don't need to think about it in the moment. And then in those instances that you do need time to think, and you're put on the spot, which is very, very difficult for a lot of introverts, it's finding ways to give yourself space to talk. And this is there's a great interview with me and Sylvia. I can't pronounce her. I can't pronounce her last name.
Just send me the link and I can put it in the comments.
I'm gonna butcher it if I try pronounce it, so I'll leave it. But in day one of the summit on Monday, we talk about communication, and she comes up with these amazing bridges to help you have time to kind of say, okay, can I just think about that for a moment and come back to you? Or like, there's little things, and it was an amazing interview where she came up with lots of them to kind of inspire you. And it's using those things to allow you to have time to really think about things. But if it's coming from the anxiety side of things, it really is a work in progress. You need to start to slowly consider why you feel anxious and why you're feeling like you can't talk and speak, and work through it. And working with a coach and with someone like Gabriela or myself, that's the way to do that. That is the way to kind of move past it quicker if you're unable to do it yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I want to give an example. I have several examples about that. At one point, I needed to go into a meeting, and I noticed that the VP of the company came to that meeting. So I'm approaching the meeting. I saw that person there, and introverts don't like authority. We kind of get overwhelmed by the fact that we have to speak to someone who has authority. So when I wanted to say something, and when I start talking, my voice was trembling. So it was not really anxiety. It was more that I consider that person an authority. But what I did is what you're saying. I tried to put myself several times in similar situation. And at one point, I was at a conference, and the representative of the federal government started talking about the upcoming challenges in the employment sector. And I knew that the provincial government was working on changes on the employment sector as well. So I had this burning question in my head: do these two departments are talking to each other? If you want to do changes to the same sector, are you connected? Will the changes be kind of collaborating to have a better outcome, or you're working in silos? So it was more powerful than me, that question. So it pushed me up in a full room of 400 people. I found myself raising the hand and asking the question, because I found that it's an important question. So that's why I encourage introverts, if the questions that you want to ask, if the comments that you want to make, it's really important. Forget about yourself, forget about your anxiety or authority or trembling voice, whatever. People need to hear your perspective. If you don't voice it and no one else is voicing it, all of those people who are in the room are missing an important topic. So I really like when someone said, if you can help others, if you can help make a better world, it's your responsibility to do it. So when you start from this meaningful goal, you cannot just put yourself aside saying, I'm quiet, I'm shy, I don't want to talk, because there is something you want to contribute. You needed to contribute to that goal. So this is what can help you bridge that gap between where you are right now and the impact that you want to make. by focusing on the message that you want to project, not on yourself. How do I sound? What people will think about me? Put yourself aside. The message at that point is more important than how do you feel about yourself in the moment.
Definitely. Actually, you've just reminded me of a game that I came up with, and this is really to help anyone who is struggling to or feeling discomfort posting on social media. That is something that my clients really struggle with. So I came up with this game. It's called the What If game. And basically it is to take your mindset from self to service. So what you do is you draw two columns, and at the top of the first column you write self, and at the top of the second column you write service. And then you start thinking about those what ifs that come up. So if it was taking your example of going to a networking or a meeting or something like that, where you have to stand and say something, it's saying, well, what's the what if there? What are you thinking in that moment? And it could be, or what if I say something silly? And then it's flipping that from the self to the service. So what is the what if from the service perspective? And that could be, well, what if I say something that makes an impact, that really helps someone? And then you go back again and you think of the next what ifs that might be getting in the way. And it could be, what if I did this? Now I can't even think of these. How about you have a go? Can you have a go? Can you say
something? So I was thinking when you're talking, even anxiety is coming from the thoughts that you ponder in your mind. If there are certain thoughts that are associated with something that you're afraid of, you get that anxiety or panic attack. So what you can do, and what you're pointing out with your exercise, is to shift your attention from a thought that is making you anxious or not feeling good to something that can empower you, can be positive. So when you're saying, what if people think that I'm silly? Just take that one. If you don't feel okay being silly in an environment, some people do. They're totally okay with it. If you don't feel okay with that, think about, what can I think in this situation? I was working with a client and she had this similar situation when she was talking about, I'm going into meetings and if I'm put on the spot, I go blank. I don't know what to say. And I said, when you find yourself in that place, first of all, don't feel guilty about it. Many other introverts are like this. It's kind of how our brain functions when you're suddenly faced with a new situation. So there are several things. You already shared a few. I can share a few more. One of them could be, take yourself out of the situation to a bigger level. So if they're asking a question, how do you think about this? And you don't have an answer exactly about the question, think about the topic. It's part of a certain situation. When you think about the bigger picture that this situation is part of, use your strategic thinker to come up with something, even if it's not directly related to the question, but you bring up a topic that is interesting for them. Or just say, like you were mentioning, let me think about it. Recently, another one, just repeat the last 2-3 words of the other person. It gives you time to think of your answering. So there are exercises, there are things that you can do. And the most important, is, like you were saying at the beginning, try to do a little bit more each time. Because you go out of comfort zone, you're learning from that experience. Next time your comfort zone is bigger, you try again, it becomes bigger and bigger. And that's how I came up to public speaking and doing live webinars, interviews. I did it gradually. I wasn't like this at the beginning. It's a process.
It is, yeah, definitely. It reminds me of, well, going back to my teen years when I was really, really painfully shy, and then the thing that really started me moving out of that period was that and it actually ties back to what I mentioned at the beginning. I decided to enroll on a music course, and after school, and in the UK we go into college for a couple of years and then to university. And at college I enrolled on a music, like a performance program, and I only did that because I had this passion and drive and just enthusiasm for anything to do with singing. I love to sing. And it really it ties in again, like I said, with the purpose and the passion, like having that to push me into doing something like a music performance course, and then being on that course and then having to gradually start to like sing in front of people, sing in front of the people on the course, my friends, sing in front of the teachers and the tutors, and then eventually doing my first performance, getting up on stage for the first time. And that was absolutely terrifying, but it was just such a gradual process, and that every time I got up on stage it got easier and easier and easier. And I ended up going on to university and doing the same, and then just little things, stepping out of my comfort zone, making friends was a big thing. That was really difficult for me, and just gradually, slowly doing those things over time. And you can take that kind of principle, you can take that and put it into being a business owner, or building your authority and influence online and virtually, or any of that. Like trying to put yourself out there, you've got to take it slow. You're not going to just throw yourself into doing a live show if you've never done it before, and you do it to like thousands and thousands of people. You're going to take it slow. Maybe you'll do it like for 5 minutes in your own Facebook group, because that's how I started. Like you take things a baby step at a time, and that's something that I teach my clients all of the time. Like it's a process, it's a learning process, and we have to go down it and develop the resilience over time.
And see what works for you. For example, I still don't do Facebook Lives. Even if I schedule a LinkedIn Live just by myself, I don't like as much as when I have someone as a guest, or when I do an interactive webinar. I cannot just talk to the computer. It's not me.
It is difficult, yeah.
I did the same. I relied on my strengths when I had to do. It's not I had to do. I wanted to do my first workshop. It was because I was starting to get into coaching, and I learned so many tools and exercises, and I'm like, these are helping me a lot. How can I help other people with this? So I approached an organization and I said, I would like a webinar a workshop on this. And they're like, sure. So I'm on my way to go there. The guy is calling me, we just have a few people here. Are you still okay? I'm like, that's great, because if there are too many, it will be too stressful. So I go there, and because it was a small amount of people, we ended up having seven participants. Because we have this small number of people, I put them in a circle. And I was part of the circle. So I use my collaborative strengths. I collaborated with them, asking questions, getting feedback, putting them to interact, to do the exercise. So I used my strengths in a situation that was totally new for me. And based on the feedback, I was able to improve the webinar, improve myself, and get to do more and more. So that's how you do it. You push yourself into kind of an uneasy situation, but you use your strengths to perform the best that you can. And you learn from that situation, your comfort zone is increasing, and you move to the next level. And I have another example, because you mentioned you made friends. In my book, Quiet Lessons for the Introvert Soul, I interviewed 11 introverts. And one of them shared his experience. He came to Canada as a teenager, and he didn't know English. So what he can do to connect with people in this world, but he was very good at chess. He's an introvert, very good at chess. It's exactly his strengths, something that he can do in a quiet way. So he joined a chess club. And because he relied on his strengths, people got attracted to him, and he started talking to them. He started making friends. His English improved. So this is how you take it from I'm here to where I want to be, step by step, by relying on your strengths.
Definitely. Actually, this is it's probably kind of where we're going with it, and in that it's crucial to prepare, have a system, and then practice. And this is that's kind of the final thing, isn't it? There, where you're talking about like just allowing yourself to take it slow and read, like do it over time, and keep doing things and keep practicing over and over, and taking a bigger step every time, so that you're practicing. And that was what I did when it came to speaking as well. I think I was like, I'm never going to be a public speaker. I'm never going to stand on a stage. But my first speaking event was to like 3 or 4 people, and then the next one was like 8 people, and the next one was like 15, 20 people, and it just you can gradually build up on it, and it's that third element, the practice element, where you're not overwhelming yourself with doing it to too many people at once. You're giving yourself freedom and space to allow yourself to grow and get better and improve, and that's key. So preparation and strategy or systems and practice, they're the 3 things really that we've been discussing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I can add a 4th one. Don't take yourself too serious. It's not the end of the world if something happened, you don't have an answer. Like you were like, it's your turn, I'm drinking my water. I can laugh about it instead of thinking, oh, I make myself a fool in front of people. So take yourself more lightly. Everyone makes mistakes. Even failure, it's a lesson. For me, it's a lesson to not to drink when someone is talking, because I may be the next one and you don't know.
Well, it's fine. It makes us real, doesn't it? It makes us...
Exactly. And people connect with you because they know that you're real, like you're saying. Oh, this person, even if they are talking to strangers, they still make mistakes, and they're totally okay with that. So making mistakes makes us improve. We can learn from our mistakes. And since we talked about entrepreneurial environment, I was attending a presentation, and I really love what someone said. His mentor advice for entrepreneurship was fail faster. So it's not a problem if you fail. Just fail, learn from the experience, get back on your feet and move on. Do something else so you can still improve and grow. So let's wrap up this discussion. Anything else you want to say to our audience?
Just probably to end on, if you really want to learn more about some of the things that we'll be talking about, it's to come along to the summit next week, because it's going to be absolutely amazing. I think there's some wonderful speakers, Gabrielle included, and some amazing topics. I'm going to go back and make notes when I watch them back, because there was so many golden moments, so many value bombs that were just, I was just like, this is genius. So definitely come along. It's completely free to watch. So check it out.
Even I will join to see the other presentations, because I'm really attracted by the topics and what they will cover. I'm like, feel free, all of you, come join the summit, quietinfluentialsummit.com, May 2, May 6. And thank you so much, Fifi, for this wonderful conversation, and good luck with the summit. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.